Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to turn 35 of Pokemon Gold, where we are playing Cyanwood City. Let's jump into the turn. And this is actually a very exciting turn for us. We've already kind of been gearing up for things. The war with Olivine City has been seemingly moving in our favor. We've had a couple of nice victories. That's been good. Our research ramp has been going up. Our Ampharos factories are coming online. And the entire nation rejoices because Cameron the photographer, god of Cyanwood City, the everlasting father, prince of verdure, gardener of happiness, the master knowing the waters, has broken free. We finally have our god 35 turns into the game. This is freaking awesome. Okay, so let's actually go over there everything real quick. We have completed Enchantment 5 and Evocation 3 in one fell swoop, and we're on to Enchantment 6 now. We have done a little bit of site searching. Unfortunately, didn't find anything. Still haven't gotten any blood slaves. This is just going to take a while on the blood slave front. Basically, it boils down to each blood hunter that we have right now. The provinces that we're in are appropriate population, right? They don't have unrest, which is great. So basically, it boils down to that means there are 3 checks for blood hunting, right? There's the level of the blood hunter, the population of the province, and the unrest of the province. We have the right population, we have no unrest, so those are both guaranteed checks. So it just comes down to the level of the blood hunter, and blood hunt checks for the level of the blood hunter are 10% plus. It's like the level of blood times 40. So if you have a level 1 blood hunter, you have a 50% chance of successfully finding slaves, right? Only thing there is we have no blood. We have no blood magic, none of that stuff. So every time they check, it's just a 10% chance of they might get some slaves. So this is going to take a while. We're probably going to get more and more guys into those provinces as we can. Constantly hunting so that each one of them has a little 10% check to where we can eventually get a certain amount going and then profit. That's going to take a couple turns before we can actually muster that kind of power, but we're going to get there. No worries. And we're going to get there excitingly because now we have Cameron the photographer and we have so many things kind of like moving in our direction. So before we get into discussing all of that, this is probably going to turn into a long episode. I apologize, but we've got so much stuff going on. Before we get into that, though, let's check out this battle in Omicria. As we have moved Chuck back from Saffron City, trying to drive off the forces of Olivine City and make sure that we don't lose Omicria. And it's nothing. It's some Spinnerax. Sigh. So Olivine continues the trend of not wanting to actually face me in battle. So we will have to fight yet another day. Okay, so we met no resistance in impassable mountains. Took that back. Unexpected events. So we got some death gems in Wellrid from a handful of magic gems have been found in the prime of the season. A local slave lord is seeking absolution for his sins. He has donated all of his virgins and a chest of gold to your cause, plus 12 blood slaves and plus 216 gold. That's awesome. That's a very nice boost on our direction, right, towards getting our blood economy going. And then we did some patrolling, and we have our normal, amount of unit promotions. And we have a famous hero. So let's actually go check. This is Decent Leader down here. And she basically has become a famous hero just off of the fact that she has so much freaking experience. Where's our other... Yeah, so Denethia, right? She's also got a heroic ability just based off of the fact that she has so much experience. Same thing. Oh, not the same thing. It's actually interesting that Aoila does not. Anyways, so if we check Hall of Fame, Denethia and Decent Leader 1 are both in there. 0 kills. They're just in there based off of the large number of experience they have. And then we have all of the freaking the Steelix champions, which the downfall of Thought is the only one that's dead, and that's my kill. So I'm taking that one. Taking that one to the grave. Okay, so cool. What did she actually get? She got, let's look. She got Iron Will, so she has increased magic resistance. She has +2 magic resistance. Woo! Okay, so we have a whole crap ton of stuff going on, and I will try to cover it as best I can, but I'm sure I'm going to miss a couple little parts and pieces. First and foremost, let's actually take a look at our spy ring, right? We've got Unrest is going up in multiple of Olivine's locations. His Unrest is up to 24 in the capital, which is actually pretty good. At 59 in Greenwall, 23, 57, actually down to 7 here in Forest of Gun. And up here it is 19, right? So we're continuing to move our battle girls into positions, trying to get deeper into Olivine's territory, right? We don't want to cause a bunch of unrest in the places that we're trying to take over. So we're trying to move further away first, cover all of those locations. So far though, like, this is actually pretty good. We're gonna take a quick look at the score graphs for Olivine, and we can see like his income keeps dipping pretty hard. So where he is at now compared to where he was kind of like 10 turns ago or so, maybe not 10 turns ago, like 6 to 8 turns ago, this is a pretty big deal. And that's a combination of like losing Saffron City and the surrounding areas, but also some of the unrest that we are generating in his lands. So we're moving Chuck forward. We are actually going to move into Berman Highs, and behind Chuck we are moving in Robodan. Okay? So we are making forward movements here. This is a little dangerous because of the seducers and the high number of assassination that he can throw at us. And this is also, I don't want to give him time to get his research online, right? He has, if we pop over to research, he has pretty abysmal research, which is good for us, right? Because that means the biggest threat that he really has are these Steelixes. We've already shown that we can deal with the Steelixes. So we need to get up in there and we need to make his life miserable as quickly as possible. So we're going to move Chuck forward. We're going to move Robodan up. We might backpedal a little bit with Chuck and then thrust with Robodan. Head up to like Greenwall or something like that. We're going to see. So we have options. We're gonna see where they lead us. There are some other things that we're doing up here in the Saffron front, though. For instance, in Saffron City, we already took a look at this. We were very excited about the Steelix champions. We're still excited about the Steelix champions. This is going to take a little while for us to get up there, get some infrastructure set up, etc. But in the meantime, we actually can and are going to start recruiting these Pokefan moms. The reason being that they are Nature 1, and Nature is one of the paths that we just don't have access to on any of our mages, right? So we're going to start recruiting them. We're going to start putting our feelers out for site searching. I say we don't have it on any of our mages. We actually have Nature 4 here, but that's a good thing, because that means that this single Pokefan mom, right? If I needed to, I could turn this into like a, I don't know, pretty easily I could turn this into like a Nature 4, right? I could give this a Staff of the Tree Lord or whatever it is, and a Moonvine Bracelet, and suddenly this goes from being a Nature 1 to being a Nature 4. Now, we obviously have other options. In research, for example, we could get down to, I did just mention Tree Lords, but we could get down to Ivy Kings pretty easily. other scenarios, right? There's plenty of options that we have as far as conjuration goes. To get nature is very easy to break into if you have a little bit of nature. And once we have the fact that we have nature 4 on our god, and then now we have some easy nature site searchers, right? We can hopefully do some pretty good stuff because we're only at 2 nature gems right now. I might even go so far as to like forge a Moonvine bracelet with our god, and then take one of these Pokefan moms and like put her in impassable mountains and start just spamming Haruspecs. And normally, I don't like doing that. Normally, I would rather site search, but at this point, it's going to take so long to move around our territory and site search that we're not going to really see dividends for a very long time. Whereas if we just start Haruspexing, we might be able to see very big returns on investment really shortly. So that's probably something that we're going to look to do. We'll see how that goes. And it might not even be like a Moonvine bracelet. Moonvine bracelet, is that even the right thing? Forge. Yeah, it's Moonvine bracelet. So we can do a Moonvine bracelet that's probably pointless. We just do a Thistle Mace, right? Cheaper. More efficient for a Pokefan mom, right? I'll do that here in a second. Okay, so that's something that we're doing in Saffron City. In Omicria, we're not really recruiting anything. We're just moving forward. So, moving down from the kind of Saffron front, we are moving a Acolyte over into Kunal. We're going to try to start getting Acolytes on all of our fortifications so we can get our defense up to 19 and then do like an easy little PD dump. Trying to get most of them up to like 20, 25, that type of scenario. If you will notice, right? So like you take Cyanwood as an example. 20 is... This is not very much, right? Adding in the extra, little amount gets you some decent combatants, right? These guys can actually chunk something with armor piercing and a very high damage low kick, depending on what they're targeting, right? These Hitmontops hit pretty hard with dynamic punch, and then they have triple kick, right? So it's not a joke amount for the province defense. Whereas certain scenarios like in this mod, the Pokemon tend to be significantly stronger than normal indies. So I'm finding that a decent amount of province defense. Obviously, I don't feel like I want to PD dump to Helen Highback, right? But we did some PD here in Ministra when we were fighting Viridian City, and this slapped, right? This screwed him over when he came at us because of all of these Giraffarigs. If we get that type of scenario in the right locations, right? A lot of these are just still bad stuff. But like, for example, here, right, in Three Pine Grove, these Shuckles are actually decently protected, and they have Pierce and Slash resistance, right? So they can actually survive for a little bit of time against the right opponents. And these Snubbles actually have Fear and Awe, so they actually have this very weird kind of combo scenario where they're not super hard to kill necessarily, but if you're unlucky, they can rout your ass just with fear checks. You mix them with the Shuckles that are actually a little bit difficult to kill. They get some kills. Suddenly there's fear checks, and boom. That's actually pretty nice, right? So it's just something to keep in mind. So we're going to start moving Acolytes all over the place as best we can. Now, in Kunal itself, we're not really changing up much of what we already were doing. We're still going to get some more Battle Girls. The plan is currently to flood Olivine City. Just to cover his entire area with Battle Girls and go from there, right? It's I feel like it's kind of a cheap tactic, but so far it's working, right? We're also forging another Crown of Command with our schoolgirl, and we're moving Sethan out to Three Pine Grove to hopefully start building a fort next turn. And we're continuing to recruit more Astral Mages. So, we are getting close to 1,000 income now per turn. And that's this turn. With the acquisition of Saffron City and Omicria, these are both very high income provinces comparatively to a lot of other places. With the amount of Amphiroses that we have, we're up to 80 now, just in Impassable Mountains. Our income, if we take a look at the score graphs, our income is starting to skyrocket. Like, we saw some of this last turn, right, where we just jumped up a whole bunch, but it's continuing to scale. This is very good. And we can actually see the jump for Pewter City. I'm pretty sure, if we look here, it's also... it dips just the same for Cinnabar. I'm pretty sure Pewter City just took Cinnabar's cap. So that is something to watch out for. Okay, so that's pretty much happening. That's what's happening in Kunal. Over in Viridian City, most things are still the same. We're still preaching, still trying to get our Dominion out. We're still doing the same thing that we've been doing with all of the Team Rocket stuff, right? We are starting to get a couple of Amphiroses, so that's pretty exciting. We're continuing to blood hunt over here. We're still site searching with Vina, etc., etc. So this is all pretty normal stuff. Over in Impassable Mountains, we are moving some people around. We're moving Yazar back down to Debrithia for two reasons. One, because we need to take him back to Cyanwood City so he can get his people training again and pick up some more people. Right? But also because we want to have him take the Throne of the First Stage as he goes by, right? We want to get that Dominion spread back in, and we want to get the magic resistance back on our Bless, because we did lose that with the guys taking it over. We're not going to do this next turn, but the turn after, or the turn after that, pretty shortly, we're probably going to use the Acolyte to start building a fortification here. We want to start... we're getting to that stage where we're going to need to protect the thrones that we actually take. Previously, it didn't matter. Now it's starting to matter. So, other than that, we are actually recruiting a nurse up here because we've got some... we only have like one or two, but I fell out of that habit of having a nurse in each location. I think I want to get back to that just to deal with spontaneous issues. We want to put some province defense here as well. But we're getting a nurse and we're getting Mareeps. And this is probably going to be how we go for a while, is as we finish off Mareeps, we're going to be... or as we finish off Amphiroses, we're going to be moving them out and putting more into Aoela's training academy, basically. Okay? This is where the factory part begins, right? Where the Amphiroses just feed back in on themselves. The only issue that we have right now is that we're running out of supplies for this location. But what we might end up doing is Omicria and Saffron City both have plenty of supplies. So we might start using Leia to move large amounts of Amphiroses into Omicria and into Saffron City, and maybe some into Cyanwood City, right? We're going to move them around to different locations to kind of disperse them for two reasons, right? We want to protect our Amphiros population, because when we lose them, we lose money. But also, we need to spread them out because of supplies. But they're also not, they're not bad combatants, right? I say not bad combatants. They're very good combatants. They have a very long-range Thunderstrike that is decent precision, and hits decently hard. It's armor negating. The only thing is most people have shock resistance, so this isn't going to be super good. They've got pretty good stats all around. And what is the thing? They've got something. I can't remember where it is. Yeah, so they've got 0.08, siege defense strength, right? Which isn't crazy high or anything like that, but it is going to help, right? If I had 200 Amphiroses in Omicria, then when a Steelix comes and sits on it, it's going to be much more difficult for them to actually pop the fort, right? So we don't want to fight with our Amphiroses necessarily unless we have to, but we can use them as siege defense, you know? So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, what else are we doing? We've got more blood hunting. We're actually doing some, because this is exciting. So, because we now have our god, I am actually going to try to move EV Summoner 2 back to the capital. So we're recruiting a officer down here to basically move in and take over EV Summoner's patrolling duties. Because if we look at Cyanwood City, we are now producing 5 evolutions per turn. So I figured out, by the way, how this works a while ago, but I think I failed to mention it, because originally when we were talking about the different evolutions, we had this scenario where we were like, wait, why are we not producing multiple Vaporeons? Well, it's basically you can only have one evolution per turn per province, right? So even if you have multiple water 3s, you can only evolve one Eevee into a Vaporeon per province. So that's why we've only been getting one per one, even though we have multiples that qualify. But our god, Cameron the Photographer, qualifies for several different things, 3 of which we have not had previously, and that is Jolteon, Espeon, and Leafeon. So this is cool, right? Now we are going to generate one of these every single turn. We have a little bit of a stockpile here that is going to take us a few turns to get through, so we don't have to rush, but we do want to get to the point to where we have 5 EVs spawned every turn, and we are evolving 5 EVs every turn. And we want to get to that point to where we are hitting that every single turn, pretty much on the dot, over and over and over again, just because I think they're cool, right? Now, I have been talking to the mod creator about this ever since we figured out kind of like the Glaceon's issue with the chill aura and them not having any frost, cold resistance, right? I've basically made the suggestion that I think all of the evolutions need to have appropriate resistances. That would mean that Jolteon has, shock resistance, that Flareon has fire resistance, that probably Vaporeon and Glaceon, I would say, have cold resistances. I can see the others, like, I say others, it's really Espeon, Umbreon, and Leafeon that are the others. I could see them not having resistances, necessarily. I think all of them actually have regeneration, so that works for me as kind of like a counterpoint to the resistances. But really, for the elemental ones, they really need to have resistances. It absolutely, especially like Glaceon and Flareon, because Glaceon has Chill Aura and Flareon has Heat Aura, and neither of them, I think, have resistances. So it means if you bunch them up in a group, they just kill each other, and that's a no-go. That's super bad. So I've kind of made that recommendation, and it's not going to affect this game, but I still want to. I really like the evolutions. I think they're really cool. And I still want to get to the point to where we're using them, right? So right now, of the ones that we're creating, the only ones that I don't really think I can use very well at the moment, I can in the future, is the Glaceon. And what I say I can in the future is once I get resistance buffs, I can still use these, right? I can put cold resistance on them, and then it's not nearly as big of a deal. But all these other 4, I can use the crap out of them, right? The Vaporeons have very high precision attacks, ranged attacks. The Jolteons, they have a long-range thunder, just like the Amphiroses do, that is armor negating. But they also have a bunch of other cool stuff, right? They have Glamour, they have Air Shield, they have a Thunder Fang, which does a decent amount of damage of appropriate type, right? And then has a paralysis poison. That's really cool. The Espions, like I said, they have regeneration, and they have a bunch of the psychic abilities. They have magic power, which is kind of bad for me, but, you know, whatever. Um, they have the Leafeons have regeneration, and these guys are kind of the weird ball. I'm not sure. They have a life drain attack, and they have Leech Seed, which is armor negating, but it's super. I don't know if this is actually like a dot or not. I have no idea. But the Leafeons seem weird, but I really want to see them in combat, right? I want to see how they do. So, you know, I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited to see how these all go. I'm actually going to put them into... and this is where the Crown of Command is coming next turn, by the way. Denethia, we've basically reached that point where Denethia cannot hold all of the people being trained. Now, granted, many of these individuals have hit their max scenarios, like these Charizard, like this dual Charizard up here. This freaking Raichu that I cannot click the fucking Charizard instead of Crikey. So we have a dual Charizard up here now. Max hit points 28. Flying Berserker actually has Dragon Rage and Wing Attack instead of Flamethrower and Fire Blast. So that's pretty cool, right? I'm actually really interested to see these guys. But yeah, so this is all kind of going along just as I was hoping when we first started playing this nation. I really wanted to get into that kind of like Pokeball spam where we got a whole bunch of different things. I would love it if we could get a fucking water random so we could add some water balls to the mix. That would be pretty cool. We're gonna try. We're gonna get there hopefully one of these days. So, what else is happening in Cyanwood City? We're doing Lightless Lantern still. We're going to have Visic on Augury spam for the rest of the game, probably. Or at least for the rest of the next 10 turns, as he fully, you know, like, level 9 remote site searches everything. Oh, yeah, I need to redo this. We're doing Trade Wind in... the capital, and we're going to do it with enough gems to last for a year. Trade Wind is going to increase the already very high income in our capital by 25%, so we're going to get over 100 more income per turn every turn for the next year here in Cyanwood City. And after that, we're going to have Cameron's turns are going to be taken up every turn, either casting big rituals or forging important items, right? And Helmet works on the actual forts. So, Cyanwood City is getting built up as a castle. This is a big deal. Especially, I'm paying for Helmet again, right? This is a very big deal if I can get this going on all of my caps. I now have 3 caps under my control. If I can get Helmet to each one of them and actually get them up and stabilized, that's a huge fucking deal. Because I don't think anyone else in the game right now is going to have access to higher level forts. That gives me better administrative effect, right? Which means my places make more money, right? And they have better recruitment bonuses, etc. Right? But also it gives me more wall integrity, right? It gives me a higher defense, fort defense, you know? And that's a really freaking big deal. Is that really? Oh my god. We got 60 Poliwags are our fort defenders? That seems horrible. That just seems super bad. Poliwags are like really, really crappy units. Oh man, I cannot imagine that actually goes pretty well. Like, so Poliwags are just these guys, right? So basically, we have 60. Well, I say that, but having 60 base precision, 30 range bubble beams, basically, which do slow and have a crap ton. Maybe that's not as bad as I assume it is. It absolutely is. By the way, it 100% is super bad. I'm just trying to make it sound not as bad as it actually is. Um, Anything else? We're making lodestone. We're making quick balls. We're kind of dipping back into some normal stuff. We're site searching all over the place. I think the kind of unexpected, exciting stuff was getting our god this turn, getting a Pokefan mom, and starting to be able to do other stuff, right? Getting into nature, getting trade wind up. We're going to start. We're probably going to have some high astral stuff start going on now. Probably start making either staves of elemental mastery, or we're gonna start making some rings of wizardry and sorcery, that type of stuff. Our research, we're gonna get enchantment 6, right? And we have a bunch of reasons why we potentially want enchantment 6 throughout the game, right? Arrow Fend can be a very big deal. Give most of our Pokemon, many of our Pokemon already have a high air shield, but we can give everything a very high air shield. That's a very big deal, right? We have a bunch of different options for things like riches from beneath. We could potentially get up into relief depending on how we go. Not immediately, but this is something that we can do eventually. We can make a whole bunch of use out of enchantment 6. Enchantment 7 is really where we want to go because of the Earthblood Deepwell. But again, that's going to take us a little bit to get there. It's going to take us less to get there now that we have our god, but it is still something that's a little outside of our scope at the moment. So we're going to have to figure that out. Gift of Health, obviously, is also something that we're super excited about, okay? But before we go from Enchantment 6 to Enchantment 7, we're probably going to go up Thaumaturgy for a bit. And there are multiple reasons for us to do that. We have some astral stuff that we can get. Now that we have our god out, we can start doing Gift of Reason on people. And this could be a very big thing for us. We have Enslaved Mind is something that we can get to. And then what's the last thing? I think we were talking about something else. I don't remember what it was, but there's another reason why we were like, we might really want to go down Thaumaturgy. I don't know. Anyways, that might be a plan that we go. We might also run up Conjuration for things, trying to get to things like Flame Spirits, trying to get to things like Ivy Kings, etc. Ways that we can basically break into higher pathing. But we basically have a whole lot of options over the course of the next 5 to 10 turns, right? So we're going to see where all of that takes us. And I'm super excited. Like things have really been going well for us the last couple turns, almost to the point to where I'm kind of like, okay, what's gonna break? Like, is Ekrutik gonna attack us from the side? Is Violet City gonna like cut a deal with Olivine and stab us in the back? Is Vermilion gonna hit us from the south? Right? What's gonna happen? What like? I don't know. But right now, things are going really well. I'm really looking forward to the next couple turns. I'm really looking forward to seeing how, like, this, having this type of income skyrocket for us is really, really freaking cool. Actually, let's do a quick pass over the score graph, right? So we are ticking up. We're now third with provinces. We are top with fortifications. We are top with income. We are third on gem income. We are second on research, and I think gaining, but just barely. We are fourth on dominion. We are third on army size, and we are tied with many, many people for last on throne points. Actually, let's check the thrones. So this is such a high throne game and needing 9 thrones to win is kind of insane. This is gonna take forever. But you know, we'll see how it goes. Okay, I think that's it for the turn. I will see you all next time for what I think is gonna be like the next 5 to 10 turns. I think are gonna be very exciting. So, fingers crossed. I will see you all then. Bye, everybody.